student, for example, told us they went to a study group and she was given Gary, they put kush in Gary, to eat, and that's when she became addicted. For some of them, some guys will tell us, my boyfriend, if he smokes, so I taste that. And kush is extremely addictive. Once you take it one time, it's a problem for you. Getting off kush addiction is a very serious problem. That's why young people struggle. So that is why the rehabilitation model is very, very helpful. Because once they are there for a couple of weeks, provide all the services, help them to build coping mechanisms is a very good way to go.
Okay, so we are talking about rehabilitation. Does the Ministry of Social Welfare have a particular office that embarks on raising awareness on the dangers of kush? Because we cannot be rehabilitating, as you made mention of, school pupils and also university students. So if there is an awareness raising mechanism, I think that would help in that regard. Don't you think that?
Yes. You know that His Excellency the President declared state of emergency on drug and substance abuse, and that culminated into setting up the National Task Force for Drug and Substance Abuse. The Ministry of Social Welfare is an integral part of the task force. We are in Pillar 4, which is rehabilitation and integration. The task force has 4 pillars. There is a community engagement pillar, there is awareness raising pillar, there is, of course, the pillar responsible for care treatment, and there is the law enforcement pillar. So the fight against kush is a holistic approach, and those pillars, have a strategy to ensure that they educate the public, engage young people, and discuss with communities to ensure that we keep kush out of this country.
Okay, so continue to stay with us. He is Ansu Kone, the Director of Mental Health and Psychosocial Services at the Ministry of Social Welfare. All good for a short break. When we return, we continue the conversation.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available Brown Gold natural cocoa powder, Sunny Gold brown sugar, meat fufu flour, shito, pisa and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base,
Ghanaian original taste.
Welcome back. The program you're watching is program is live on the Slbc Broadcasting Corporation. Before we went for the break, we were speaking to the Director of Psychosocial Services at the Ministry of Social Welfare, Ansu Kone. So we'll continue with it. And Mr. Kone, we want to know, why are you calling for governments to set up rehabilitation centers at a regional level? Is it that this particular thing is going all over?
Kush is a very serious problem in this country, and the data we're having from the Kisi Psychiatric Hospital and the one that is coming to the attention of the Ministry of Social Welfare and the National Task Force for Drug and Substance Abuse is very clear that lots of young people are becoming addicted. And kush is not only in Freetown, it is all over the country. The least village in this country is affected by drug and substance abuse. You see on social media, and even the international press is reporting this. So that is the reason why we need to move very, very quickly to provide these services at not only regional level but even district level. I know when His Excellency the President declared state of emergency, he made a commitment that every district in this country is supposed to have care and treatment centers and rehabilitation centers, and this has to be done very, very quickly if we have to save the future of this country, because the young people are dying every day on the streets. I mean, you can see them having swollen feet, you can see all of their big souls, which is killing them every day. They're having multiple organ failures as a result of drugs, and they're having relationship problems. If you have a kush addict in your family home, it's a big problem for you. And above all, they are developing mental problems, especially psychosis. So because of these reasons, and now the data is telling us that lots of young people are dropping out of university. So, and remember, we are in a state of emergency, so this is very, very critical to provide these services.
Okay, Mr. Kone, you rehabilitated over 100 kush victims and other substance abuse. So let us know, is there a monitoring mechanism for this set of people that you have released into their communities?
Yes, there is. We out of the 189 were females and 11 were males. So as I rightly mentioned, of course, over 60% are dropped out from colleges and university. We are ensuring that they go back. In fact, some have already got scholarship as well, as a way to encourage them to go back. Those that discharged previously, some have gone back into education. We collaborated with the Ministry of Education and other partners like the UNFPA that provided learning materials, uniforms, school shoes for former victims, which is very, very helpful. So these are the strategies that we're employing. Moreover, we have a case management system. We have social workers that have caseload of all of these young people that we follow and ensure provide psychosocial services for. And remember, the task force is also going to engage them. They are our ambassadors. They're going to join us in the fight against drug and substance abuse. So you see them, come on the media, engage in communities to ensure that they bring the change lives of other people. So they are ambassadors, and we're going to use them.
And Mr. Kone, from what you just said, saying that among the 100 you discharged just last week, let me say this weekend, 89 were female.
Males.
And males.
And 11 female.
And 11 female. Is it that the male population is consuming or is abusing drug more than the female population?
I only want to hastily say yes or no. Because of course anecdotal evidence clearly tells us that lots of young boys in the ghettos around the communities, but the girls are also equally engaged in this. So we're trying to really understand why. So we're thinking probably is this stigmatization. Some feel shy to come. We've had some young girls that have run away because they want their family members to bring them for rehab or for them to benefit from services. So various factors may be responsible. But the girls are equally affected, and we're very, very concerned because the ones that are addicts have gone through a lot of sexual and gender-based violence. We have seen young girls that are pregnant and they're addicts. Because when a female is pregnant and you are an addict, it's going to affect your baby. If you are lucky, to give birth to that baby alive, the baby is also going to be positive of drugs. So we're very concerned about this, and we're trying to really study to make sure that girls that are affected by addiction come to our attention so they can be rehabilitated.
Okay, so Mr. Kone, communities play a vital role in complementing your efforts. So let us know how you work with these communities to ensure that they become ambassadors, community leaders, stakeholders. How do you work with them to ensure that they work hand in hand with you, to ensure that your work becomes easier?
In fact, that's where we started. In January, we identified 10 communities in the western area, from Bowman, Kube, Longley, Aberdeen, Kisi, went as far as Waterloo to engage with community leaders. That's when we really realized the seriousness of drug and substance abuse. So that is ongoing. The National Task Force for Drug and Substance Abuse has a community engagement pillar that is led by the Ministry of Local Government and Community Affairs, and they're responsible for engaging communities. And of course, we also have the awareness raising pillar that is also doing their own part to educate the public. So it's a multi-sectional approach, and the National Task Force for Drug and Substance Abuse is taking the lead on that.
Okay, so continue to stay with us. He's the Director of Mental Health and Psychosocial Services, Ministry of Social Welfare and Succor, talking on the strides they have been making in trying to combat substance abuse. But we still have the two gentlemen in the studio talking on the higher education sector. Ivan, now when we talk about you creating a space for such a discourse, you understand, it involves different stakeholders and also a space where students will have to come up to talk their mind or things that are happening. While some students will be bold to do that, some may not be bold to do that because they'll be thinking that me coming out to talk, I'm not protected. Even if I talk something genuine, when I speak it, at the end of the day, my lecturer will get at me. So how does the Ministry of Civic Education try to ensure that you talk to these lecturers or allow the space to be that, let me say, liberal for everybody to see that we are not getting at each other?
Well, I mean, there was a clear mindset by the Ministry of Tertiary and Higher Education. Mindset with regards to what they wanted to achieve, making sure that there was a safe space for all of the sector players to be able to have a frank, candid, truthful and honest conversation. And I think we did achieve all of those. And so nobody was going to be victimized because of what they said and what their experiences are as it relates to tertiary and higher education. We had the National Union of Science Students President, Mohammed Bonafa. We had Professor Agali from Tertiary Education Commission, Dr. Graham Agebe. It was my first time meeting him, but he's quite an emotive individual. He wears his heart on his sleeves. What he thinks he says. And I think it was also useful and necessary to have that injection of passion and energy into those conversations. We had Reverend Professor Edwin Momo, who's the chairman of Council of Vice Chancellors. So he was representing Vice Chancellors. We had Reverend Dr. Anes Bamanja from private universities, and Dr. Ila Amadi, obviously from the Ministry of Finance. He's the Deputy Director of Budget. And so everybody was allowed to feel free to talk. It's about education. It's nothing personal. It's about education at tertiary and higher level and how to move it forward, making sure that we get the formula right at that level.
But you and I know that there are times when students do speak up, they get to speak up, saying that these are the issues affecting us. There are some lecturers who take it personal, and these students will be victimized. So we are talking about the Ministry of Information creating that safe space for the lecturers to know that these students are not speaking up because they are getting at them, because they want the system to be better.
So there was enough safe space for everybody on Thursday. But then I hosted the program, and I made sure that from the audience I allowed a number of students to express their views on those issues discussed. And there was one from Magai who said, a lady who said she had paid, and somehow I think she had a scholarship. It has taken from, I think, first to second year. She's now doing her final year, and up until now she hasn't got her refunds back. And that for every time she goes back to those in charge of whether it's HR or finance or whatever it is at the campus, they would say to her, "Oh, your money not come back yet." But it's been 3 years since. And so in responding to her, I just said, look, I said, yeah, I'm not responsible, I'm my guy, whatever campus down, I try to give this speaking money back. It cannot be 3 years. This explanation cannot sustain itself year on year. She's now doing her final year and about to leave, and then saying, I'm not going to forget money back. And thankfully, Dr. Philip Kano was there, right? He was the principal of Magai University. And I'm sure he's somebody that is known for being a stickler when it comes to principles and values, and naturally I would expect him to follow through on those comments. And so everybody was allowed. I made sure that students were able to express their views in that hall at Fobe College, because this is about them. It's about the future of students, about the future of tertiary and higher education and what we would like to see. It's about value for money. It's about making sure that if we're asking students to pay more, naturally, they should be able to realize what they're paying more for, what is happening to extra charges and other charges. How do we ensure that subventions come on time? How do we ensure that students pay and that there isn't a gap to that amount of about 70% who do not pay their complete tuition fees every academic year? So it's a mix, and therefore, to be able to get it right, people should have a certain freedom. Dr. Ayla Amadi said something, and that's not I'm going to end up very quickly in 30 seconds. Dr. Ayla Amadi said, she would like to see an atmosphere where lecturers are also responsive, and that we're actually grading lecturers, right? Because I mean, if you get a lecturer in a class, they lecture, we all fail, but you, year on year, then that lecturer is a problem. Somebody should be able to question that lecturer. Why is it that the bulk of the students are failing? Right? But we live in a system where, for some cultural or traditional reasons, it's a fearful area to get to. You should not question your lecturer too much.
Some lecturers see it as a pride when the students
go. Precisely. So we should be able to have these conversations moving forward. There cannot be sacred individuals in this business that you cannot question them. It's not about anybody. It's about the future of the sector and how to move it forward.
Okay, so Imran, one of the chairman's call was for the establishment of an endowment fund and to improve the financial sustainability of universities. So let us know, does the ministry support the TC's call?
Yeah, look, tertiary and higher education is all for some of the conclusions reached right at the town hall. So it's not only about an endowment fund. An endowment fund speaks to alternative sources of funding. So it's about public-private partnership. It is about how we get the private sector involved, right, in supporting education at tertiary level. The Dr. Bamanja was talking about how they are doing poultry farming, and they're producing 12,000 eggs on a daily basis, and that's, I think, is sold out every single day. So that helps with regards to, that's a private institution, and so it's a private university. It helps with regards to them being able to have extra pennies to run the university on a daily basis. So it's those innovative and creative ways of attracting the necessary funding, in addition to sanitizing the system, making sure that it works correctly as it is, and then adding other things to it to be able to make sure that it has the right finance to move it forward.
Okay, Ima, and Christos, let me bring you in. One thing that we observe in public universities is at times overcrowding. A particular class will be where you have a lecturer lecturing over 200 students or 150 students, and for an individual to lecture that amount of students, it is very impossible for all of the students to get the knowledge and all of sorts. And also when it comes to marking, that lecturer may be lecturing, let me say, 2 or 3 modules or 3 classes, and you have more than 600 scripts to mark. The lecturers are also overburdened. So from the TEC point of view, do you sit with these universities, these public universities, when it's time for admission, for them to really give the data of the spaces that they will have to accommodate students, for them not to take above the spaces that are within that time?
So thank you. Now you're seeing the need for overhaul. That's why we say we need to move forward. So it's cuts across even the areas that you're talking about now. Facilities, improvement on facilities. We need more classrooms, we need more lecturers, trained and qualified lecturers to be able to deliver to students. So we don't want the case that you're putting out. One lecturer will be, delivering lecture to 600 or more students. That's alarming. So now you're seeing the need that the chairman, in his wisdom, sat and said we need an overhaul. Those are the challenges, those are the areas we want to work on. So going forward, we have all those things on blueprint. We're going to see from programs offered, capacitation of lecturers, availability of facilities, to see that universities offer quality services to students for their paying for.
Okay, so you heard from England, there are some lecturers that are kind of sacred cows. They like fail students and they see it as pride. So let us know how will TC come in to ensure that these lecturers are held accountable. Because how can you teach 500 students and 490 fail, and you see it as something that is pride? How does TC come in?
Well, it is our mandate, as I stated earlier on, to contribute to the development of tertiary education in the country. And we also also review not only programs, but we also, assessments on lecturers, their performances, they deliver what they deliver. So just as you had, going forward, plans will be put in place to ensure that lecturers that are in the habit of, they have to wait until the last 2 weeks before they go to exams, and something that students should have benefited from, let's say, 6 months outline. When you heard that exams are coming, you call them for 2 weeks and say, this is the course outline, they're going to do this. This is something you should have done over a period of time. But in 2 weeks now, you want them to understand everything, and they go into the exams. How is that going to be possible? So wait, I'm coming. So what we're going to do now, we are coming after those ones. You begin to see changes. We are coming after those ones to ensure that value for money, if you've been paid to lecture students, you should go to the classrooms and ensure that you capacitate them.
And Christmas, for me, I attended a public university and also a private university. One thing that, we students had when I was attending private university is that for the end of every semester, they give us the students appraisal forms to appraise our lecturers based on certain things. Certain things that lecturers do, let me say this particular academic year. The previous one, if that lecturer failed the appraisal system, all the students in a particular class, that lecturer will change, or they either expel that lecturer from the university. So does the TC get that type of appraisal system where the student will appraise their lecturer based on delivery and other factors?
Okay, from our standpoint, we're expecting the universities. They know their lecturers, you appraise them. We don't have the eyes or the physical manpower to be at every other university every other day. So we collaborate with these universities. They are supposed to feed us with the performances or the appraisal structure of their lecturers. We receive those ones and we make an assessment and see to say, okay, this is what is happening, and IPAN, this is what is happening. You understand?
Okay. So thank you very much. He is Christopher Charlie Macaulay of the Tertiary Education Commission. We still have Mr. Ansu Kone in us. Mr. Ansu Kone, we're about to go because time is not up. What will be your parting shot?
Well, all I can say is that, to advise the young people to keep off drugs, especially kush. Kush is highly addictive, and now we have seen lots of young people dropping out because it is a drug. Once you try to get out of that addiction, it's very, very difficult. I'd like to appeal to partners, government, to allocate more resources for us to establish rehabilitation centers across the country.
So, Imran, before you give us your friend, 30 seconds.
Well, I think I'm a politician. 30 seconds stop. You draw the kilo.
30 seconds.
But hopefully, the Ministry of Tertiary and Higher Education is going to continue this conversation, and hopefully they will take it to the regions, and so as to be able to get their own feedback, and which would in turn inform the policy direction.
So, Iman, just 30 seconds.
Another 30 seconds.
Yes, another 30 seconds. How will the Ministry of Information and Civic Education ensure that all of this feedback that you get, you compile them and you follow up on the implementation of these to inform the public that all of this engagement that we had, these are the feedback that came in, these are the ones that have been done, these are the ones that are yet to be done?
Well, I think we have to give that back to the Ministry of Education. There was a repertoire at the town hall meeting, and obviously that report is going to be handed over to the minister, right, and ministry officials at education. If there's a need to make it public, definitely it will be made public. But then obviously we would always come back at some other point in time to have conversations around education or issues as it relates to government and His Excellency the President. That is what we do for a living. So.
Thank you very much, Iman Sena from the Strategic Communications Unit. Well, Emmanuel, I think we have to draw the content. Time is not in our favor.
And we have to say a very big thank you to our studio guest, Mr. Ansu Kone, the Director of Mental Health and Psychosocial Services, Minister of Social Welfare, Imran Sila from the Strategic Communications Unit, and Christopher Macaulay from the Tertiary Education Commission. They've educated the public, they've informed the public as to the strides they have been making. So viewers, this is how we draw the curtain down for this edition of Good Morning Sierra Leone. I have been Emmanuel Samoa.
And I am Mr. Sako. Before we go, let me remind you the quote of the day, and it came from American author Jackson Brown Jr. and it says, "The best preparation for tomorrow is doing your best today." Good Morning Sierra Leone returns tomorrow at exactly 9 o'clock.
Let me say a very big thank you to the production crew, especially our producer Joseph Stanley. Continue to watch the public service broadcaster, the SLBC.
As a mother of the house, whenever I want to prepare palm soup, there's no need pounding palm fruit. All I need is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. My soup is done, and its preparation, it is not difficult at all. Nkulenu palm soup base, it's easily done with no difficulties. Just take few ladles and your soup is done. And its flavor, it's amazing. This is Nkulenu's Ghana's original palm soup base. And this is Nkulenu's Ghana's original spiced palm soup base. Iron fruit and turkey berries are naturally added.
Also available Brown Gold Natural Cocoa Powder, Sunny Gold Brown Sugar, meat for full flour, shito, pisa, and moringa. All available at Nyami Ado Enterprise, 1 Lower Waterloo Street, Freetown.
Nkulenu palm soup base.
Ghanaian original taste.
You ready for the Zoom meeting today with the investor then?
Yes, boss. I'm ready for the meeting today. And I don't download all the reports they sent to me on the internet.
Make sure so you get super connection because I don't want one problem during the meeting.
Everything is okay. Everything is fine.
Counting on you even though we're not in the same office. I will be with you every step of the way.
The OKNP landscape is more rich in biodiversity. If you come in the OKNP, you will see different types of animals, chimpanzee, hippo, elephant, Maxwell duiker, red flank duiker, etc., etc., and even the colobus monkey, patas monkey, that are in the park.
We're here this morning with the Wabile Eco Guards, with Dr. Moses, Amara, Emmanuel.